Welcome to Digital Marketing This Week. It is August 16th, 2014. As always, hope everybody had a wonderfully productive week, and we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. Of course, this is all brought to you by Seriously Simple Marketing. You can find us and the blog over at seriouslysimplemarketing.com. Who am I? Chris Mercer, content developer, which is going to come in really handy for this particular focus topic. Optimization expert, full of Google Analytics and split testing and all sorts of fun stuff there. The host, of course, of Digital Marketing This Week, and just call me Mercer. You'll see on the emails, that's why I always sign up Mercer, because there's always a Chris in the room. That's why it's just a whole lot easier. Okay, so this week's focus topic, we're going to talk about product creation. So if you've been wondering, or either maybe you've create products, but you're trying to get them done a little bit faster, want some tips for that, or maybe you just haven't started at all and you're kind of in that stage of wanting to get started, hopefully you're going to pick up a couple of interesting ideas. Now, remember, as you have questions, if you're watching this live, you just go to ssm.tips/question. In fact, for those of you who are live right now, you should be seeing a little button pop up where you can just go ahead and click on that, and it'll automatically just take you directly to our form. And of course, that's where you can put in as much details as you can for the question that you have, and we'll jump into it. It doesn't have to be just about this topic, so if it's a question about something else, that's fine as well, and we'll cover that during the Insiders Q&A. So going back to product creation, this is our topic for this week. Now remember, what you're looking for here is not an entire map of 14 different things that you have to go and implement this next week. What you want is one idea, one simple to execute idea that you can get. We have replays of these, that's why the replays are there, so you can go back and then get another idea. Then you go back and get another idea. But if the whole point is action, you have to execute on the idea. So don't just get 14 different ideas. Look for the one idea that you can take, that you can implement, and then come back and get more. So again, that's the whole theory, one idea as you're going through here. Now we're going to have 5 different power tips you can create the perfect product. Remember, even though there's 5, you want to make sure you're just grabbing the one. Of course, we'll talk about one thing you absolutely must avoid that will kill any sort of product creation that you're doing. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into tip number 1. Now, the first tip here is to validate. And this isn't a step that I see people skip. Now, there are a few different ways that you can validate. One is just to send out surveys. So you basically ask your market what they want, and then you can even ask them to pay. And a lot of people, this is the step that they are afraid to do. We've actually done this before, which worked out really, really well. When we first created an analytics course, what we did is we had teamed up with somebody who had a list. And this is a perfect way for those of you who are thinking, oh, that's great, but I don't have a market, I don't have a list. So what we did is we worked with somebody who had a list already, and we said, hey, listen, we've got this analytics course. We could train your people to do analytics. We don't actually have the course yet, but what we'll do is we'll do live webinars. And so we'll basically pre-sell the webinar. We'll talk about what the course is going to have. We basically planned out a little bit about what the course is going to have. And then because they had such a great relationship with their list, they basically emailed the list and said, hey, we're going to have this webinar. We're not going to let a lot of people on it. It's $300. Those that want to come on board, go ahead and come on board. Maybe it was $200. I don't remember the exact price point. But that's how it started. And that's how we started getting into product creation. And what happened is, not only were we sort of on the hook, right? Because that's the other thing that's kind of nice about having these prepays, is you're on the hook to create. You can't procrastinate. You can't sit there and go like, oh, you know what, I'll do it next week, or I'll do it tomorrow. Because now you've got somebody who's paid, and they're going to expect that Monday at 3 o'clock when that webinar rolls around that you've got content for them. So that's a really great tool if you're a procrastinator at heart. But what's really, really nice about it is you've got a market. You've validated. The market said, yep, you know what, this information will be valuable and I will pay for it. Therefore, obviously, others will as well. So it works out really, really well. So make sure that you're validating the way that you can. Again, this could just be a survey where you say, hey, if you have a list, mail them out, or maybe work with somebody that has a list. The other thing you can do is Facebook ads. So didn't really exist in the format that they do now when we first did this analytics course. Now what I would do is I would do Facebook ads. I mean, if it happened to fall in my lap as somebody that had a list and I could work with all. But right now, I'm totally free to do Facebook ads. I can target the exact group of people that I want, and I can say, okay, here's, would you mind taking a real quick survey, and then maybe go about, what challenges do you have with Google Analytics? Is it Google Goal Setup? Is it event tracking? Do you not have analytics installed at all? Just kind of get an idea of what the market is. Would you be interested in a course? What price point would you be interested in paying? For more information when this course comes out, and your email. And now all of a sudden, you've got this built-in seed list. And that's kind of the benefit, because even if you're doing a survey, as long as you're asking them to enter email or enter their email, now you can contact them, say, hey, remember when you told me that you were interested in a course that this, and this? Well, I've created it, or I've created, the course is launching on, next week, and you get early bird special, something like that. But you've got this built-in seed list, and you'll see this leverage it tip. Okay, so what I'm doing is not only am I gathering data, not only am I validating my idea, but I'm also getting a seed list. With one action, I'm getting multiple things done. Now, the second tip, map it out. Okay, mind mapping is a huge, huge tool for this. So there is a program called FreeMind. Actually, let me just pull that up for you here. And you can do this multiple ways. You could use programs like Glyphy. You can use programs like Lucidchart. I actually like FreeMind. We use Lucidchart, obviously, a bunch of other stuff. But let's see here. I think it's called, actually, just Google it. Why do I even bother? FreeMind is not what I'm looking for. What that is. Okay, so FreeMind is what we're looking for. And what I should not be doing, I should just be Googling it. Okay, so we're looking for the SourceForge right here, freemind.sourceforge, because it's free. You come in here, click where it says download, and it's got this nice, incredible user interface. This is what you get for free programs, right? But it is incredibly popular. Let me show you some screenshots here. So what this will do is, this will be a decent one. You've got your main topic, and it'll go out, and then you can go do subtopics from there. You can do even more detailed topics like this one has. So this is like a subtopic, another subtopic, another subtopic, even more detailed, even more detailed. And this is how we actually plan out our mind maps. And so we'll go through and we'll plan out sort of, okay, the main thing is Google Analytics. And in Google Analytics, there's going to be setup and event tracking and goals and how to tell, maybe how to improve a blog and all these different sections that we might have. And then within those sections, we'll go through, okay, here are the 4 different points. And it basically builds out the course for us. And at least to the point where ideally where we're building out a slide deck where somebody can go through that and we can assign it to somebody to say, take this mind map and then create a slide deck from it. And then we can sort of walk through that slide deck, and that's how we can go through and build that out. But FreeMind, it is free. I believe it's for all platforms. And again, it's free, and what we do is we put the file on a Google Drive so that anybody in our team can access it, which isn't necessarily collaborative because 2 people can't be logged in at the same time, but you can definitely do it and then assign it to somebody. They can open it up and do whatever they need to do. So a very cool tool. What again you're looking for here is to build the bones out. Okay, your goal is not necessarily to get to the nitty-gritty details. At least on the first round, your goal is to go through, build out the bones. So you go to main topic, and then like the main subtopics, and then you go back and then flesh them out a little bit after that. But your whole idea is to get a structure. Now the leverage it tip here is, again, remember, whenever you do one thing, you want to think, okay, what else can I do? How else can I use this? How else can I repurpose this? Because that's how you really get productive in this business, is whatever actions you're taking, you're not only getting the result that you intended, but you're getting auxiliary results as well, right? So in this case, we could use a script, and we do. And so we'll create these mind maps. And as I said, once you've got the mind map planned out, you essentially can give it to somebody, maybe somebody on Fiverr, or just yourself if you have the time, and you go through and now you can create slides out of it. Okay, so that's one thing. Well, you can also use it as a script. So we'll go through and we'll actually use that mind map and essentially just sort of talk out the course. And then we can give that to an editor, and this wasn't how I started. Well, I started was back in the day, it was me. I would just do it. But now we've got a team, so I can just give it to our video editor and say, hey, go through here, here's the mind map, and then I talk through the mind map. He can cut out the bits and pieces and turn them into individual videos, which become the product. Now, when I was doing it by myself, when I was first starting, I just did it. That's the only difference. So you don't have to have a team. I just have a team now. That's the only difference. But you don't have to. I just did it on my own. Pulled up my video editing software. I would talk through the script. I'd build out slides on PowerPoint. I'd copy out the audios, and I just sort of moved the slides as I was going through and discussing it, so everything timed up perfectly, and then edited the video and put them up. So that's sort of how we got it. And again, if you don't have that skill, or you don't want to do that, if that's just not a comfortable thing for you, that's totally fine. There's so many people out there who have that skill, who really want experience. You can find Fiverr, Elance, you can find people that can do that for you for sure. Number 3 is to copy. Now, this is often overlooked, but basically find out what's already working, right? So if you've haven't done this yet, you want to go through, and if you've got a course that you're interested in, maybe it's a WordPress course and you wanted to see what other people were doing, go out and search what other people were doing, find out what they're already working, and then just create your own take on it. Now, the other thing that I'll hear a lot is, okay, well, there's already a WordPress course. Somebody's already teaching WordPress, so I guess I can't do that. So there are millions of people out there, Whoever you found that WordPress course from has targeted maybe a few thousand at best. Millions of users, they've got a few thousand of them. And that's all they're ever going to get, because they're going to get happy to a point, where they're making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month, and there's not going to be that aggressive on it for the most part. And so that's why you have competition. There's all sorts of other people out there. Now, some of the people who may have even seen their offer just aren't in it because they didn't gel with the person or the type of course it was or whatever else. So create the course anyway, put your own spin on it, because that's your unique differentiator, is you, the way that you did it, that you did. If you put your own spin on it, maybe it's a different format, instead of video, it's all audio, instead of audio, it's all PDF, maybe it's an ebook, I don't know. But put your own format on it, and you find that some people who would not buy the other course will totally buy your course. So just because it's already out there doesn't mean it can't go out there again. Again, you're being unique. You're the one, then there's nobody that can duplicate that, okay? And then the other thing to think about is affiliate marketing. So this is where you kind of go like, okay, well, maybe a WordPress course would be great. Let me go ahead and try affiliate marketing for a WordPress course that's already in existence. And you go out there and you find a WordPress course and then you market it. And then what you're seeing is there a market for this? Okay, and obviously, that if you've got a list, that's great. If you, the traffic part of it, you'd have to figure out as far as if you have a list, you can use that. If you've got Facebook ads, you can run Facebook ads to it, however you typically do your traffic. But basically, you're validating, okay, so is this a good idea? Because I don't have to go out and build a product. I just want to find out if it's a good idea. Will people buy a product about WordPress, right? Find the affiliate product, test it, works, awesome. So now you've got this leveraged ability to go out there using your seed list, your marketing. You can even do that. This is again when it comes to the leverage it idea. You can go through and create a survey, run Facebook ads to the survey. People that say, yes, I'm interested in a WordPress course. You'd be like, great, we're designing a WordPress course. If you want to go ahead and build a seed list, and then after the seed list, when they opt in, hey, listen, in the meantime, we have this other person's WordPress course, which we think is great. Take a look at it, might find some interest, and now you get some affiliate marketing from it. So copy what people are doing and what's working. Tip number 4, as you may have guessed, is to leverage everything. Leverage everything. You always want to find multiple points. So every single thing that you should have at least 2 different uses. And I'll give you an example of that. So we talked about mind maps before. Now we talked about leverage so far in terms of when you take an action, what does somebody else, what else can you get from it? In this case, mind maps help not only with you creating the product, they can also be a bonus as a PDF. So you can make it a PDF, maybe put your logo on it or dress it up slightly, but you really don't have to do a whole lot of work to make it a PDF. And now it's a downloadable bonus that you can do when you're selling your course. So the same thing that not only helped you build a product, helped you create a script, helped you create PowerPoint slides, now it also is a PDF bonus. So always think in terms of how else can I use this? Where else is there value here? I'll give you an example. If you were doing a video course, you can strip the audio from that video course and make that audio as an additional bonus or an additional value point. Say, hey, listen, we also have MP3s. You can just download those because some people just want to listen to it in their car, and now they'll be able to do that. You can take the slides out and make them PDFs. So now you've got a little PDF worksheet. So there's lots of different things. Whatever you're creating as content, always make sure it has at least 2 different uses, so you have multiple points of value. The other step here that I can talk about is chunking it. So chunking it's really, really important. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, okay, that happens. Okay, and I really shouldn't call this a step. This is a tip. But overwhelm happens, right? You're going to get to the point where you're like, oh my God, I've got so much to do. I don't know where to start. I've got all this stuff flying around in my head, and it can happen with something as simple as, let's say, the mind map. Okay, and I'm speaking from experience. I would think about this mind map, like, oh, I've got to create this course. Okay, I've got to do a mind map for the course. Mind map for the course for me was kind of like what this picture is. It was this huge, giant step. And so what I found, the only way I could really get that done, because I would sit there for weeks thinking about, and even, we use Asana as a project manager and put in my task list, and I would just keep kicking that thing down the road, just be like, oh, I've got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, and never get around to it, just feel overwhelmed because of all the work I got to do. What I found was it was too big of a step. creating a mind map for a course was too big of a step, so I had to break it into smaller steps. And I broke it down into smaller steps until it was ridiculously easy. And here's what I mean by that. So I might break it down to an image that might look something like this. So okay, now it's 2 steps. So it's like, okay, first determine the subcategories of the course, right? Determine the modules, course modules, let's call it. Well, that's a couple of steps. That's awesome. But that's, right there, it's kind of like, okay, well, I've got that, but, maybe I can break it down even to even smaller pieces. So now it's, okay, not only it's not that I have to design a mind map for this new course, I've got to go through and say, okay, well, what's easy here? What's the easy thing that I can work on? The ridiculously easy part. And this is one of my recent ideas that has worked over and over and over again for me. Is I'll go through and find whatever the simplest, easiest thing is that I can grab onto and hook into to get some sort of action started. So creating a mind map for a course, it's too overwhelming, it was too general, so it didn't really I wasn't easily able to take action on it. So I didn't. So then okay, well, let me just create subtopics or modules, right? So that's easier. So I can do modules. And then it was like, okay, well, of these modules, what can I create? These subcategories of these different modules. And I would assign that. And that was even easier because now it's them in flow. And at the end of the day, I've got this mind map set up. And so what happened is because I created the subtasks, that's what led, those little simple actions led me to create the mind map. So I hope that made sense, but basically it's getting down to, you break it down into the simplest of steps, something that's, you're like, okay, well, can you at least create a module? Can you, and when I say, like for me, it was like, can you at least determine what a module title might be or what it's going to cover? Well, because okay, well, the title, God, I don't know. I got to copyright the title. What if it's not the right title? Who knows? Okay, well, forget the title. What would the module be about? Oh, it would be about setting up analytics, installing the code. Okay, done. Action step. And now part of my map is done. And it was, okay, well, what's the next step? Well, after they would do that, well, I guess they would go through and, we want to make sure that it was working. Okay, so how to validate the code? Awesome. Okay, great. Next step. And I would just keep doing that process and walking myself through that process. And again, eventually with the mind mapping, it's they have keyboard shortcuts and all sorts of stuff, where it makes it really, really fast to organize your thoughts. And so at the end of the day, I very, very quickly all of a sudden had this mind map, which was awesome. So okay, let's talk about the one thing that you have to avoid. And this is the thing that kills, I would say, 99% of products that are out there, and that is the perfect product syndrome. Okay, so avoid perfect products. I like to say that these are the new 100. So 80% of the way there that's when you go live. When you look at this product that you've created and you go, you know what, on a scale of 1, 10 being absolutely perfect, it's an 8, done, send it. And here's why. There's 2 very important reasons for that. One is because it'll never be a 10, because you're always going to learn something new. You're always going to have a new idea. You're always going to stretch the idea of perfection, and it'll never get published. The second reason is because you cannot possibly determine what the market is going to think or how they're going to react to your product. You need to give the market control of it a little bit. Right? They have to have some sort of ability to create this product with you. If they are co-creators of the product with you, they will reward you by buying more of it. So you have to involve your market. Okay, and that means that if this product is 80% good enough, right? It's good, it provides value, it solves the problem. It may not be perfect. Maybe your video quality can be better. Maybe you want to put bumpers on your videos. Maybe it's something else. Maybe one day you PDF transcripts, but you don't have them yet. That's fine. Get them out there. And then you can ask your market things like, hey, would you find PDF transcripts valuable? Yes, I would. That'd be awesome. Okay, great. Or just ask your market, how do you like the product? Scale of 1 to 10. What additional things do you like to see? You may see nobody even ask for PDF transcripts, but they want MP3s. So that's where you spend your time. So get the absolute most, what they call in the Silicon Valley world, the startup world, minimal viable product. Internally here we call it version 1. So it's get version 1 out. So you want to get that V1 product out, make sure that it, again, solves the problem, that it's useful, that it functions, and then you put it in front of the market. And you don't need to put it in front of 1 billion people. You might not do a full product launch, but at least get it out to people who can help you to improve it and make it even better. And at the end of the day, you want to push before you think you're ready. So, and when I say push, I mean it's pushing it live, right? So it's making it live, it's publishing it, it's sending traffic to it, it's selling it, it's letting people have access to it. Do that before you think you're ready, because if you wait until you're ready, this is sort of a famous quote by, I believe it was the founder of LinkedIn. I don't remember the guy's name offhand, but I'm sure you could Google it. But basically what he said is, if you are perfectly happy with your program, your app, whatever your idea is, if you're perfectly happy with it when it launches, then you've waited too long. You have to not be completely satisfied with something and launch it, because if you wait till you're completely satisfied, you waited too long. You're too slow, and you've got to iterate in front of the market. This is the one thing that, this is the optimization experience talking that we do every day. We see more ideas get killed because people don't iterate, because they don't change and they don't adjust. And they have to do that. The only way to really effectively do that is to go back to your market over and over again, and you say, hey, how about this? 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 Right? So how about this headline? Or maybe this headline's better. Or how about this image? Or maybe this image is better. And the only one that will ever know the answer to that is the market. So you have to get it out to your market. Your market will give you answers back. That data you can come back, that feedback that you get back from them, that's what you're going to take to adjust your message, to adjust your product, to adjust your sales pages, all that sort of stuff. And if you sat there in a dark room and just spent 47 hours solid thinking about it, you would never come up with the answers that the market will give you in a very short period of time. So get it in front of your market. That is again, avoid this whole perfection thing. So perfect products, they do not exist. Don't think they do. You're not quite happy with it, but it's good enough. That's what you do. Good enough, good enough, good enough. Push it, and the market will make it better for you. The market will guide you to where perfection is, because you will never see it. One other little bonus tip here is building a team. So you've already heard about how I went and did that. That was an eye-opener moment for me. I went to a live conference out in Utah with a friend who was hosting a conference. His name was Jared Elvidge, and it was a really, really cool conference, because I met one of the speakers there who was talking about outsourcers. He's like, oh yeah, here's how I've done outsourcing. The cost at the time, I was doing some Elance stuff and Odesk stuff and finding freelancers, which is one huge thing. Like, we still do that. We do video transcriptionists, and we use people on Elance for that because it's very project oriented. But then, he was talking about outsourcers, and outsourcers are basically kind of like remote employees, right? Or they can be. You can also get people that are project based. But, he was like, oh, for me, it was the opener of, I could hire a writer and have them write content, research and write content. So if I want to guide that content and say, okay, we need to find stuff about WordPress security or whatever, I can assign a writer stuff to do that, and they can go out there and research it. I can go through, edit it from there, and they're basically coming to me with blog posts that are 80% done, but I can go through and make sure that they're all accurate, right, and add my little spin to it. And now we've got this content, so it makes the content a little bit faster, easier on me. And then I figured, okay, well, now I can do, I do WordPress, right? I like WordPress, but I don't do plugins or anything. What if we could hire a WordPress developer who could come on our team and help us to really customize themes and things like that? Because then I could spend my time marketing, right? That was my special skill. I want to be able to market and sell and all that. So the more time I'm doing that, the bigger the company grows. So let's just hire a developer to do the other stuff and kind of dive into WordPress. And so we did. And we started doing more and more and more. And eventually our team just grew and grew. And now we've got somebody that does videos. We got somebody that same person actually helps us with some of the basic WordPress stuff that we do, builds out membership sites, all that sort of stuff. We've got a project manager, and a project manager who does a great job keeping us together and keeping everybody sort of on task and on assignment. And he's actually moving into more of a split testing conversions role as well, which is great. So he's able to improve those, and that helps us leverage our company. We've got the writers, obviously. So we've got a great writer who will actually go through and I'll give you a tip here, talk about leverage. We researched how we were doing our content for Serious Simple Marketing, because we wanted to make sure that, all of these articles I'm essentially writing, and the way that we do it, the way that we produce this content is the writer we have a weekly call together. She will interview me, and we have these topics, we agree on what the topic's going to be, and then she'll interview me about the topics. And it's kind of like a conversation like that. So you and I are talking about, in this case, product creation and the 5 different tips or whatever, and we'll have a similar conversation with her. And she'll go through and she'll sort of write down and transcribe everything and create a little article out of it, send it to me. And then, I'll take a look at it, make sure it's all accurate, that all the points were covered and that it's totally right. And then my wife goes through and she'll edit it. And she'll go through and make sure spelling and grammar and all that sort of stuff. And then she'll go through and post it into a draft mode into the blog post. And then I'll go through, and I've got my assignment is to go through back and say, okay, it's ready to publish. So I go back and publish them. So if you ever see a post that's published late for whatever reason, that's my fault. But I'm the guy who will go through and say, okay, yes, this is the blog post, and I'll make any sort of final changes, put my total spin on it. And now I've effectively written this blog post where I didn't have to do most of the work for it. except talk, right? Because for me, it's a lot easier for somebody to ask me a question about it. I can talk it out. They can write down the actual word. You could just as easily do something with the transcription software, I guess, and at least get your words on paper, and then you could edit it out. But it was things like, hiring outsourcers that opened up this whole new world for us. So if you have the ability to do it, if you've got a little bit of money coming in, I would take that money, reinvest it into leveraging yourself that way. And of course, you always have joint venture partners. So this is where I had given you the example before about how we tied in our first analytics course, and it was like, okay, well, let's find somebody with a list. Oh, we've got somebody who's got a list about WordPress users. People would be interested in doing Google Analytics because he just really focuses on marketers. So that's what we did. We come up with a deal, and he emailed the list. We sold the product, then we produced the product as we went. Again, huge tip is going out there and selling it ahead of time, because then you have to do it. That's the other perfection thing is procrastination. So the one thing you want to avoid is the whole perfect products. Well, procrastination comes in there a lot. And when you sell something, even if it's a video membership, right? You don't have to do a live webinars, but if you're going to do a video membership, hey, great, I'm going to pre-sell it. It's $50, even though it'll sell for $150 when it's live. Or I'm going to sell it for $10 even. It doesn't matter. Sell it for $5. Sell it for something stupid. Because when you get a buyer, you're going to be like, oops, I got to sell this now. Like, I got to do this. When I first started, and I very, very first started, not many people know this, and I think the videos are still out there somewhere, but my first real internet marketing project was WordPress training videos, right? So I had WP training videos, and we built that out, and that was well and good and led us to where we are now. But before that, when I was first starting out, learning stuff, before WordPress, when I was even when I had just started WordPress in general, building sites and everything, I was doing speed reading because it was something I knew. It's something I do now. I know how to do that. So, and I used to teach it years and years and years ago. So I thought, okay, well, let's do an online speed reading course. And this is so long ago, is when you can actually send AdWords traffic to a squeeze page. So I managed to create my first squeeze page, and then I didn't create the course at all. I created the squeeze page, and knowing that I knew the information, right? So this is different. You don't want to do something you don't know how to do. But I created the squeeze page, and then I sent AdWords traffic to it, and I just waited for the sign up. And it signed in with hours of me sending them that squeeze page. And I'm like, okay, well, now I got to do it. And so I basically had done the squeeze page, then I went through and created the first email for that person who got it. Great, tomorrow you're going to get your first lesson. And then I had to create something, and it forced me to do it. And I knew that even though, I didn't sit there and spend 47 hours creating this perfectly manicured course before I could actually publicly make it viewable, I knew that when I would just get that first person there, that I would do it because there was a commitment there. There was somebody waiting for me. There was somebody that was going to expect it. So that was a really important point to me. The other thing that was kind of cool about it is that you get this mindset of you talking to a person, right? So that you're talking to that person who bought it, and that helps in your product delivery too. So there's multiple reasons to do that idea. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. And again, you're looking for that one actionable item. So of all of that different stuff we talked about, if you just get one idea you can implement, that's all you want. Stop there. Stop and walk away. Don't listen to the rest of the stuff. Just be like, great, I got my idea. And then come back and listen to the replays later. Now let's talk about some trends, tips, and tools. One thing that is super cool, this is so much fun. I'm going to show you this here. This is something I came across recently from a blog post that was on John Morrow's blog. And it's called Write or Die. Now, it does have a paid version, which I haven't used, but I'm going to show you how this thing works. So I'm set it up here in what they call kamikaze mode, and this is for writers trying to get unstuck. So I'm going to reduce it down to, I need to get 50 words in 0 minutes, or let's do. So you can basically set up, however many words you want to do. Say you were doing a blog post, and I'm going to, for sake of time here, so we don't have to stare. Let's say I had to do 30 words, and I had to do 30 words in 1 minute. So 30 words is probably easy. So I'm going to make it harder. Impossible, in fact. 70 words in 1 minute, and I'm going to do kamikaze mode. So I'm going to try here. So what will happen, again, they have a desktop version you could buy. It seems pretty cheap. But this is a word. And then you can basically, what happens here is you've got these words left here, right? So as I type something, these words will go down. I've got a timer here, and you can see what starts happening. Okay, it's starting to go red. Okay, so what happened was kamikaze mode. If you stop, and this is what makes it cool. I need to keep going, or else this will eat my vowels. So watch this. So now you've got this goal set up, right? That hopefully you're sort of, you're focused. And the whole point of this program is writer's block. When people are like, oh, how do I really write? Action more than anything. So see, if you stop, it goes red, and then what starts happening, see this? Where it starts eating the actual vowels of the words. That's kamikaze mode. So it's like, oh man, I've got to keep typing, thinking about what to write, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But this is kind of a fun way for you to keep yourself writing. And this is for those of you who are maybe content production is in blog posts right now. You're just trying to figure out how to get blog posts done. Use Write or Die, because it's such a simple but fun way. He's also got these other modes here. We actually haven't played a lot with them because we just like kamikaze mode. But there's consequence mode where you can put in an image. It puts in an image or plays a really horrible sound so that you get really annoyed by if you stop. And then there's stimulus mode, which is, I believe, if you're motivated to reward. So when you actually achieve your goal, then you get this really good reward that you can determine for yourself. So it's a really cool, fun program. And I just like the guy's name, Dr. Wicked. But anyway, Write or Die is a really cool tool. And again, stream of consciousness keeps things moving. And you can also save it, which is nice. And then all I did here, and again, just for those of you who didn't see this, so you go to writeordie.com, and I clicked try, and that's what brought me to this. So it's a pretty cool tool. Okay, next up. This is interesting. This is something where has been in the news recently. As what I mean by that is over the last few months. So a few months ago, Matt Cutts, who's the guy who basically runs Google Spam and completely determines what ranks and what doesn't with SEO, right? If he says that this technique is now spammy, then everything goes away and people's ranks drop. And so Matt Cutts is kind of in charge of all this. One of the things he said months ago was that guest posts, and I believe we've talked about this in our previous episode of DMTW, guest posts will no longer count toward SEO. Right? So then this came out. This happened a few days ago. And what happened is Google's got these things called Webmaster Guidelines. And what they did is actually updated their Webmaster Guidelines a couple of days back that said low quality guest blog posts. So they've determined now low quality. This is a good thing as far as we can tell right now. What low quality guest blog posts mean are when you've taken the same post that you've written for 14 other people and you give it to somebody and you post it someplace else. So it looks like duplicate content. That's low quality. Technically, Google also sees low quality as like low PR rank stuff. So, but I think that'll change. So, and what PR rank is basically like an authority rank. So a new website would have a very low PR score because they're new. Like, seriouslysimplemarketing.com as a domain didn't exist 2 years ago, so it's got a low score. The more it's run, the more content it provides, the higher its authority rank becomes, its page rank becomes, and Google will pay a little bit more attention to it. But at the beginning, it's low because it's a new site, right? Many of you have blogged in the same situation. So that part I wouldn't concern yourself so much with, but I would if you write blog posts, you put them out on Easing articles and all these other article sites to try to get links back. That's going to hurt you in the long run. So what you need to do if you do guest blog posting, and this is just when you're writing for any blog that is not your own. That's all it is. That's what a guest blog post is. So you're a guest in our blog writing a blog post that happens to link back to your site. So what you want to do is uniquely cater that blog post to their market, make it a unique blog post, unique images, unique thing, and it doesn't look like anything else you've ever done. It can talk about the same topic, of course, but it's completely written for them, and you're not rewriting something that you already written before. You're writing something for their market, maybe referencing some things that only their particular blog users would know, some other article, something like that, and then you can link back to your blog. So I think that will actually help SEO. This low quality, that's what was interesting about this reaction here, because they made it a point to say low quality guest blog posts. So basically spammy blog posts, the ones that are clearly fake or just, written by an article spinner, written by a computer. Those are the ones that are going to hurt. So that was something that came out again a couple days ago. Basically just means if you focus on really, really content stuff, Google will continue to help you. If you try to trick people into reading your stuff, Google will continue to hunt you. And that's really what it comes down to. So produce great quality that people like to share. Next is HTTPS. So it's now a ranking signal. So what this means is this is those secure sites. So like if you ever go to bell.com or whatever, you see in the URL, there's like this little upper green, up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little green thing that says, yes, this site is secure. Even if you go to Google or Facebook, you'll see that, less this secure little green signal shows up in your browser in the upper left. So secure sites are going to start ranking higher in Google. Now this means that you would have to get a security certificate, what they call an SSL certificate, and everything else. But before anybody jumps the gun on this, and this is why we wanted to mention it here, this is something that is a really, what they call a really, really low signal. It basically, even Google says this affects less than 1% of the search rankings out there, which probably means it doesn't affect you at all at this stage. Eventually, it will be something that you're going to probably want to do, or at least add to help with SEO, but it's probably a few years down the line. So the only reason we put it here is to, one, make you aware that yes, it is a signal, but it also, because if your site's secure, there's encryption, and if your site's encrypted, it has to decrypt itself, right, when it's going back and forth, which slows it down, and Google also judges your site on how fast it is. So you've got this little double whammy. It's like, oh, do I get a secure site, which makes it slower, which actually hurts me, right? And so, you don't necessarily want to go secure way, at least not yet. And then Google made it a huge point to actually say the number one ranking factor we're still looking at is quality content. So between having crappy content that's secure or quality content that is insecure, that quality content that is not that's on a regular site will by far always be perfect. So the reason that or I shouldn't say be perfect, it'll rank higher. So the reason that we put this higher is just, again, make you aware of it. And if you hear anybody talking about it, we're like, oh my God, Google's got, your site has to be secure rank on Google. It's not true. It is something that they added to their algorithm. It is affecting a tiny, 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 tiny percentage of websites. It will not affect you for most likely at least another year or two. And quality content is by far king, and it remains king. So just do that. So just because you make your site secure won't really affect anything. Finally, wanted to show you this one. This was a pretty cool site here. This is a gentleman, I believe his name is Brian Harris, and I'll know in just a second. And we came across this blog. This blog post. It's on a blog called Video Fruit. And what he's done is what he started doing is going through, Brian Harris. So I've heard him on a couple of podcasts, which is where I've found his blog from. And what basically he's done is he spent his last year or two going through finding marketing campaigns, deconstructing those campaigns, saying, oh, here's how they did that, and then he'll make a blog post about it. And so one thing that he created, and he's been doing that over and over and over again, he's done quite well and is now becoming pretty well known, which is awesome. The one post that he has here, this lead magnet post, this was pretty cool because what he talked about was creating these individual blog posts, right? And you create offers for individual blog posts. This is something you're going to see us doing a lot more of here at Simple Marketing on our blog. So you can see here, he's got this example, literary agents who represent Christian authors as a blog post, and then here's your download, complete guide to literary agents who represent Christian authors, right? So what happens is this offer on your blog, on the blog post, the offer is very specific to the actual blog post, and it's a way to get people to opt in. And so these little lead magnets, and this whole, what he did here with this post is show what people are doing to do with different lead magnets. And then he came through and said, okay, how do you, and again, I'm scrolling quickly, admittedly, but he came through and said, okay, here's the 11 different types you can do. So anything from a little checklist version of the post to a PDF version of the post. I mean, I'll let you go through and scroll through it on your own, or if you're watching a replay, you'll see it in the show notes. But he did a really, really nice job of saying, here are the different types of content you can create, and essentially he's repurposing the blog, right? These are also great tips, and the reason we have them here, hey, pop-ups, and these are the reason we have them here, is so that you can see all the different ways that you can create content and leveraging content. Because a lot of these you can do to actually create products themselves. Because essentially it's what it is, right? You're just creating a product that's relating to the specific blog posts people are reading, but you can totally do all of this stuff too. One other tip I'm going to give you, which is not on the slide, I should have put it on a slide, but it's a little bonus here, is don't forget about PLR. So PLR is private label rights, and You can grab videos, you can grab books, you can grab autoresponders, you can do all sorts of stuff if you just type in private label rights, and then let's talk about, let's see, dog training. That's the nice cliche topic. So master resale rights for dog training uncovered. There's PLR private rights. So while we're waiting this to load up here. Okay, so niches animals. So this is masterresellrights.com. I haven't worked with this site, so we're not endorsing it yet. But so there you go. So dog training uncovered. There's a, $4. You can get an ebook and an audio, and essentially, let's see. So this is what it covers. Normally there'll be a license of some sort. There you go. Distribution rights. Here's what you're looking at right here. So you've got resale rights, which means you can resell the product. Master resale rights, I believe it means you can resell the ability to resell it, which is kind of cool. Private label rights means that you can change the title, make it your own. Giveaway rights means if you can give it as a free product. So in this case, you're not allowed to give it out for free. You must sell it. You can, however, offer it as a bonus for another paid product that you have, which is another great way for product creation, right? So maybe you create your own course on dog training and you want to do this, right? Or how to build a dog house maybe, and then as your course, and then this is your bonus, how to train your dog. So you can offer it as a bonus. You've got product copyrights. You do not have copyrights of the graphics. You can modify the product however you want, which is cool. So if you want to edit it for your own audience, you can. You can package it with other products, which is good. You can put it to a paid membership site if you have that, but it's not a free member site. And then you can publish it offline as a book, and then you can sell it on auction websites. So you can see all the different things that you can do that you have license to do with this PLR thing. And you've got, what is it, $5? So $4.24, and it's 66 minutes. So now it's a little dated, it's 2007, but let's face it, with dog training, that doesn't matter. With something like WordPress, it totally does, because that wouldn't really be useful as much. But dog training, that's timeless, so who cares? You got your audio, it's 66 minutes of audio, and it looks like that's all it is. So ebook and audio, and you've got the ebook, okay, so it's probably just a transcription. So now you could actually take this, buy this for $5, take the audio, give it to somebody on Fiverr, tell them to make you slides from it, slides for each chapter, and then you can either yourself or give it to somebody else again on Fiverr even, and have them take the audio, chop it up, and put it into videos. So it covers those little slides, make little slide videos out of them. And now you've got this little video course on puppy dog training that costs you $5 to actually get started. So there's PLR for you. It is an amazing, amazing tool. So that's that. And there's lots of different things out there. So a lot of these places will end up reselling the same course a million times. So you'll see, I wouldn't necessarily offer this as content for sort of untouched. You want to put your own little spin on it in some way, shape, or form, even if it's just your own brand. But and you'll see that on this course, like this same exact dog training course will be on like 14 different of these PLR sites. So just find one that you like and then go from there. And I'll probably do a little research and find some decent ones out there too for everybody for recommendations, because we've also used PLR. We've done it for video courses, we've done it for books, we've done it for lots of different stuff, and it gives us a starting point. Again, if that's your stage where you're kind of like, oh, I've got this blank page in front of me and I have no idea, and write or die doesn't help because it just keeps eating my vowels because I can't think fast enough, then just buy PLR. And now you've got something to start with at least, and you can go through and edit that. Even if they just give you like the structure, right? Then you can go like and add your little sections, or maybe take out parts you don't agree with or don't like that are theirs. So, really good starting point. Okay, so that was our lead magnet post, and that pretty much does it for the content portion of digital marketing this week. Thanks again for watching Digital Marketing This Week, and we will see you next week.